Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me. I'm just going to check um, my end to make sure that you can. So, I want to welcome everyone today to the show. And just give me 1 second. All right, we are live. All right, so happy Monday, guys. I'm so excited to be here today with all of you. And let's see. Give me just 1 second. Please do, if you're joining us, please say hello. It's always good to know who's here. And so please do say hello. So I'm very excited to be here. My name is Deepal. And for those of you who are new to my work, again, my name is Deepal Shah, and I help people all around the world raise their vibration and eliminate emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual pain. As a medical intuitive, teacher, and a speaker, I am so excited to be here with all of you and being able to connect in this way. So, thank you for letting me be on your journey. With listeners all over the world, I am here on Facebook Live once a week, and I've been really trying to get guests to come on, special experts, anybody that can help our community, our world, our earth in raising our vibration and healing ourselves because that's what we're here for, right? We collect so much karma. We have so many things that we've been through in our past lives and lifetimes that we tend to bring it into every lifetime, and then we have to not only heal from that, but whatever is going on with us within our mind, our body, and our spirit, because each and every one of us is here for this beautiful journey here on earth, and we want to be well. We want to feel good. We want to be happy. We want to be peaceful. So, allow me to help you do that by joining me today. Please do share this out, and please do join us. Say hello if you're here. I'm just going to look in the comments and let's mute myself. All right, so let's see. Oh, Marla's here. Veronique is here. Hello, guys. It's so good to see you. All right, so here's what happens a lot of times. Your body can heal itself, right? We all know that. However, we tend to mask the symptoms. If we're feeling grief, if we're feeling anxiety, we're feeling depression, whatever we're feeling, there's always a pill for that, right? But those pills come with side effects. And trust me, I know. I used to work in pharmaceutical sales as a rep for about 10, 12 years. So I know, I have been there. I was the one pushing those drugs. So not only for my family, because I thought that was the right way. I never knew about energy healing. So when I was feeling my panic attacks, when I was feeling anxious, when I was feeling sad, I thought the best way would be to mask it. And after being here on this beautiful journey into and energy healing, I've discovered that that isn't always the right way. Okay, and I say always because yeah, sometimes there are times when you need to turn to Western medicine, but do you need to do it for every little thing, right? So I want to help you recognize what you're putting in your body and the reasons that you may still not be healing. Every disease or disease has an underlying emotion. And we just have to kind of dive into your body and find and release that emotion that's been there for so long, right? So it's time to discover really how energy healing can help you to get to the root cause of symptoms and give you the power to heal any discomforts, whether it be mental, spiritual, emotional, whatever it is, physical. Let us help you. So I want to remind you a couple of things. I am now on a show. I host a show called The Happy Body. It is on Awake TV Network, and I know some of you have subscribed to Awake TV Network. It is the next Netflix. It is a network just like Netflix. So 24/7, you are receiving all around world coverage with amazing teachers, coaches, and healers to help you. So take advantage of it. It's already becoming a huge hit, and we just launched it last week. So, Awake TV Network, there's also a Facebook page. Now, today, please do share out this post because we are going to be diving into a very, very special and sensitive topic that I really wanted to bring about during this time because it actually is amplified a hundredfold, and it's grief and the holidays. So, Christi Diamond is going to be joining us, and she is here today. So, let me tell you a little bit about Christi. Christi is a beautiful soul. I have had an opportunity to talk to her the last week or two. Like, we literally met 2 weeks ago because I stumbled upon her website. So I connected with her. I emailed her and I said, "Hey, Christi, I don't know why, but I'm really gravitated towards your work because the first thing on her website, it says grief and loss." So I knew she was an expert in this field. And so let me tell you a little bit about Christi's background. She has worked with hundreds to assist them in conquering the effects of grief, trauma, and loss. She worked as a victim services specialist for mothers against drunk driving and spoke professionally on their behalf as many events and in the media. She has also conducted several workshops on grief and loss and is a certified grief recovery specialist, life energy healing coaching, has participated in speaking events on a variety of topics and positive life building skills, and has a passion for helping others take on their life in a whole new way. She is traveling the country right now with her family, sharing the messages of healing and empowering many with their own healing as she teaches the simple techniques in both of her books. She does sessions over the phone, Zoom, for those who are seeking to release any pain of the past and to create a life of fulfillment and purpose. Her quote is, "Every pain, be it physical or emotional, comes from three things: thoughts, traumas, or toxins. I can help you with all three." She specializes in energy healing, grief coaching, and life coaching. So today we're going to dive into today's topic, grief and the holidays. I think right now with the holidays coming up, so many people have lost a loved one. I lost my grandmother, and that was this week, actually, on the 28th of November. And if you guys have lost somebody in your life, we would love to know so that we can help you. So please do post who you have lost. And whether it be during the holidays right now or at another time, it impacts you most during the holidays. Grief just, it's like this energy that just comes over us because we remember people during the holidays. We remember our loved ones. We remember our pets and family members and children whom we have lost. So it becomes a very sensitive time for us. And so I'm so excited to have an expert on the show today. So please share and invite everyone you know because today's show is a very special one. And I think everyone can use the knowledge that Christi is going to share with us today. So I do want to welcome Christi right now to our show. So welcome, Christi.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, and I don't believe in accidents, so I think it's perfect that you happened upon my website and we were able to connect. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, awesome, awesome, wonderful. And you know what? I believe the same way that there are no accidents. So I thought I would just reach out and see what happened.
Here
So
we are.
that I did exactly right. Love synchronicity, love the universe, love the energies. So thank you. You know, since we all might have a different idea Why don't we first define what grief and loss even is?
Absolutely. Many times I think when we say the word grief or loss, the very first thing we come to is death, right? And loss can be so many things. It can be obviously the loss of a loved one or a pet. It can be also the loss of a job, the loss of, when I worked for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I worked with people who became quadriplegic, paraplegic overnight from a crash that had happened. So loss is, I would say, more defined as a transition from where life used to be to where it is now. So there's a shift in how things used to be and how they now are. And so loss can be so much. And the one thing I teach when I teach this is to not minimize anyone else's loss, to honor, because in that there's a grief that we each have, and we each experience grief in our own way. So just honoring what loss is to everyone, and that grief is painful in so many ways, and just honoring that in each other.
I agree. It is very painful. And like I said, I lost my grandmother on November 28th, just 1 year ago. And
Mm.
what's interesting, and I love, again, synchronicity and the universal energy and the flow, is that my family is going to be getting together this holiday. And the holiday, Thanksgiving, falls right on the day that she had passed. So
Oh,
it
wow.
is going to be a very beautiful time where we can actually come together and just do some prayers and we usually like to do some what we call bhajans, which is like kirtan, you know and we do that as to help her soul continue to transition if it is still here on earth. And I know there's so many people that have lost loved ones. Brenda says, I lost my daughter in April in a car accident, and my son died of cancer in April
Mm.
2013. Very, very difficult time right now and can barely digest food. Can you give her some advice, Christy?
Oh, first of all, wow, my heart goes out to you. That is, I would say, probably one of the greatest losses is that of a child. And we have like kind of this label or category of, when it's a spouse, you become a widow or a widower, but we actually don't have a label or a name for when we lose a child. And so it's kind of this real empty. For a parent to have to bury a child is probably one of the greatest griefs I've ever experienced with people. And so, first of all, my heart just goes out to you. And I get what you're saying of the place of it's almost like hard to even digest right now. So the biggest advice I have for you is to truly just take care of you. Honor what your body needs right now. If it needs rest, rest. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, scream. I mean, don't hold in what was going on the inside, and give yourself the freedom and the permission to be able to work through this in the ways that your body needs to. So don't push it down. I know it's so painful, but people would ask me as they went through um, traumatic loss, like losing a loved one so suddenly, when I was working with so many on this, they would ask me, what's the quickest way to get through this, right? And we as human beings want that. It's just like, oh my gosh, how do I get through this? And honestly, it's not the best. I mean, it's not the funnest answer to give, but it's literally to walk through it, to not avoid it. And when I would have people picture, imagine that you get a gash on your leg, right? And you don't tend to it. You just keep walking and going every day, and you don't doctor it. You don't take care of it. You don't sit down. You just keep going, and then pretty soon it gets bigger and bigger, and it turns into gangrene, and then like you have to get it amputated. It literally, that happens within us if we don't deal with our pain. So the quickest way to walk through it is to literally walk through it. And like I said, life's going to be different from how it was. And that's the whole transition of it, of like, it's the loss of how life used to be. And one thing I want to stress is you're never going to get over it. What is getting over it, right? But you can walk through it and you can learn to transition in life with it. So don't ever feel like you have to be at a place that you have to get over it, and surround yourself in community. Please don't isolate. Do not isolate. It's where the wounding gets bigger. But in community, we have love, we have support, we have connection. So I would ask you to surround yourself in community right now.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sure, Brenda, if you're still here and you're listening, I hope this really, really helped you, because that was just beautiful how you explained that. Marla says, all my grandparents have transitioned as well as my first husband, currently working through the loss of my second marriage. And I know
Mm.
loss comes in many forms, right? It could be a divorce, it could be death. But Shirley, can you explain and maybe talk about other losses that people may be feeling at this time?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, because first, yeah, we talk about death as a loss, but relationships can be a loss. And here's the thing is, divorce is like a death. And it's interesting because we surround people in community who've lost a loved one, but when divorce happens, there's a real aloneness. There's not the support that you get when a loved one dies. Now, in death, a loved one passes, not, usually by choice, right? But in divorce, it's like death by choice, like it's a severing in a, excuse me, an ending of a relationship. So there's a lot of losses that you go through in this. And one of the pointers and tips I would give everyone listening is, when you go through loss, and I honor your loss and your divorce. The ending of a marriage is it's like the ending of dreams and companionship and friendship and so many things. And so anyone going through loss, I would encourage you to take an inventory of your loss. Sometimes, I remember being in a grocery store, literally in the middle of an aisle, and just a song came on, and I'm just going to tell everyone, don't go to Albertsons when you're grieving, because they play like the worst grieving music. I mean, like it would bring up stuff, and I couldn't even like finish shopping. I had to go to my car because I'd just be bawling, right? But in those moments, it's like the moment it came up, it just kind of fled you. And sometimes when we can't really pinpoint everything we're grieving, it's hard to know, like, what am I really working through right here? So to take an inventory of your losses can kind of pinpoint where the emptiness in you is. So for instance, when I went through my divorce years and years ago, it was so painful. We'd had 3 children together. I was absolutely devastated. I sat down and wrote down an inventory, and it was the things I was missing, and it was the future of things that wouldn't happen, and it was things that I had to transition from. And it sounds kind of funny, but you can even get detailed enough to where it's like, I lost somebody taking out the garbage. I mean, it's really taking an inventory of where these spaces in your life are now empty, right? So it's like, take an inventory, and when you have that inventory, you can look at it and go, oh, this is why my heart aches. This is why I feel this hurt. This is why this holiday is really hard, because the inventory I just wrote is, I miss talking to someone about the upcoming holidays and together deciding what we were going to give someone, right? Like it's even that. It's just the talking, the companionship. I miss going and seeing Christmas lights as a family. I mean, those were some of our losses. It was just a different transition. So anything you can do to help yourself. One thing I would absolutely ask you to do, especially in the losses you mentioned, and then now the ending of your marriage, is take an inventory so you can honor the pain and the grief within you and really put a name to the losses you're feeling.
Yes, thank you. Marla, I hope that helps because that is one of the losses, you know, where, like Christy said, there are so many memories, and even when you end up on a bad note or, whatever, um, it's like you still have that love for that person, and it's hard to let go. And I think that you just know that you're gonna get through it. It's just a matter of time, and then you'll look back and you'll realize how much you've grown and how much stronger you've become. And right now, no matter what anybody says, it's gonna be like, okay, whatever. It's like going in one ear and out the other, because in the deep state of grief, you can't comprehend anything that anybody will say or try to help you with. So take as much information as you can into your mind. Try to work through it, just like Christy said, write things down, do an inventory, and see where you stand. And one of the greatest affirmations I just love is, I'm going to be okay, and everything is going to be well. And the more I tell myself that, it's like you feel this sense of peace, because you're going to be okay. It's training the mind to think differently versus just thinking about the grief. I mean, I've lost multiple grandparents, and like I said, I just lost my last one, and then there has been loss, and every time you hear about somebody else's loss, it like hits you right in the heart space, right? And it's like you start crying. Like, people will post stuff on Facebook, and my friend, I don't read a lot of this stuff, but my friend will call me up and she goes, "Oh my gosh, so, I don't know, this kid or this husband posted about the loss of their wife who had cancer, brain cancer, and this is the note she left." And I'm here bawling. I don't even know the person, but you feel so connected to people because, again, we're one, and that energy is one. And if you're very sensitive to that heart space, you'll feel everybody's grief and loss. So even in this time right now during the holidays, you will feel other people's grief and loss, and that's why it's amplified. The energy of grief is amplified at this time because each and every person in this world has been through some kind of grief and some kind of loss at this time, or really close to this time. And when that energy is like, everybody's thinking about it, right? Like, oh, I lost so and so, I lost so and so. That energy gets so heavy and dense, and it's okay. It's okay. I do want to let you guys know that Christy is going to take us through a process. So Marla says thank you to both. But Christy is going to take us through a process today in just a few minutes. She's also going to give something away to everybody that comes on the call and also listens to the replay. So please share this out to as many people as you can, because this is a very important topic right now. And I think there's so many people that we can help. So Christy, there are like 3 powerful tools to use to work through grief. What are they?
Excuse me. Well, I'd like to first mention, when we're grieving is actually such a gift. And I know that sounds kind of like, are you kidding me? Grieving is such a gift. But I remember when I was going through the loss of my divorce and grieving, there was there was a saying I put on my mirror, and I looked at it every day, and it said, pain can do one of 2 things. It can either destroy you or make you reach for the highest within. And I literally had to make a choice daily as to how that pain was gonna come up in my life? Was I going to let it destroy me? Because I see it all over the world. I see how pain can destroy us. Or was I going to reach for the highest within? And so grieving is actually honoring the love you felt for a person. And so in that, give yourself the gift of realizing, wow, this really meant something to me. And so that's why I'm grieving it. So pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And I wanted to read a quote real quick by Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, it's an honor to be in grief. It's an honor to feel that much, to have loved that much. It's what's owed. I wouldn't have missed a minute of it. So rather than us trying to run away from it, push it down, walk away from it, avoid it, there's such an honoring of the love that you give and you've given in a relationship and the loss of that it's just an honoring of like, this was our relationship, and that love, it's like you have this love that you don't know where to put it anymore, right? So put it into healing yourself. And so three tips I would give. Number one, DePaul mentioned something really important as to you're going to see over time a shift in yourself. And so here's the thing is, we don't get over it, we walk through it. But journaling is a powerful, powerful tool. So anything you can do to get that up and out of you, onto paper, as you write down how you're feeling and really just feel all the feels of it, just really feel all the feels of it and write it down. Over time, you will see your progress. Because those who don't, it's like they feel like they're still in this place, but you'll see that you're transitioning into change, and you're working through things if you're really addressing them. So journaling is number one. I would totally do. Another is give yourself permission. So we're entering the holidays, and DePaul, I mean, a year ago, wow, that's like still really fresh, right? And here we are on the holidays. So it's going to bring back some memories. And here's the thing is, don't try to do things like they used to be done. Give yourself permission for them to be different. So as I worked with families and they're like, I don't even want to be in town this year for the holidays. Like, I am just so overwhelmed with my grief. And I'd say, then don't. Then give yourself permission to not be in town, to take a trip elsewhere, to not be in the place where it feels too painful to be right now through the holidays. So give yourself permission to do things differently. Even maybe start a new tradition, or honor some of the old and bring those in. But just give yourself permission to feel what you need to feel. But many times we don't. And I remember when I was going through something really, really hard, I remember calling up my counselor, and she said, you have my permission to lay in bed and cry all day long. And that sounds kind of funny, but I literally needed her permission. I wouldn't give it to myself. I needed her permission to say, Christi, take care of yourself. Lay in bed and cry all you want, because I was like, no, I got to keep up, keep going. I'm a mother of three. I've got to, so give yourself permission. And then the third thing is, DePaul also talked about connection and how we relate to others. This might sound strange, but go out and serve. When you serve, you realize you aren't so alone, and you meet people who can relate to where you've been. So find a community. One thing we did is we went to help serve in a kitchen at Thanksgiving and delivered meals to people who were homebound or had no money for transportation. And that was something different we did in a year we were grieving. It just didn't feel the same to try to do all the same things. So serve, find a way to serve others, to give to your community, to reach out in some way. And when you're not so focused on your pain and your grieving, you start to see how many other people are hurting, and you're like, wow, I'm not alone. And maybe this can connect us in this moment where we're all feeling some sort of loss. So those are the three things that I would share.
I love it. You can always use tips, and we can all use that, because we're always looking for tips and techniques that will help us get through this time. So, thank you so much. I think that was very, very lovely and very important. And yeah, you're right. My grandmother, her passing is very fresh. And, you know, the other thing I didn't mention was loss of like having a miscarriage or an abortion. Those kind of losses are also big. Even I have people come to me that have had losses around this, um, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and they're still grieving over it. It's like they remember and recall it, even though if they've had three children, they still grieve over it, because like for
Mm.
me, I ended up having a miscarriage and it was my first child. And I remember, I'll never forget this. See, again, we never forget, right? Because it is so painful, right? So, um, I wasn't ready to have a child. And I was 24 years old, still at my peak of my career and my marriage. And and so by the time I had accepted the fact that I was going to be a mom, I ended up miscarrying the child. And I was devastated. I was at a loss. I must have grieved for months. I lost so much weight. I wouldn't eat, all those symptoms. And then my husband had moved to another state, a month after the loss. And I just felt like I lost everything in my life. I mean, we didn't get a divorce. He just moved because
Yeah.
he had to for work. But things add up, even the smallest things, and you feel so worthless and helpless. Like nobody wants to be with me.
Yeah.
And it was a tough time. And eventually, things started, of course, I have two beautiful children now. But the fact that, I always think about it, like I would have had an 18-year-old or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you do think about these things. But then again, there's also a lot of energy around that too. And of course, I mean, there's a lot deeper things going on there, but there was a loss and there was grief, and we have to understand it. And once we do, I think we can heal. And when we do write it down and when we do speak about it, right? I think that helps as well.
Oh my gosh, that's such an important point is we're so uncomfortable to speak about it. Like when someone has passed or and it's like I this is one thing. If you're on the other end of it watching someone else experience grief or loss, ask them, say, hey, is it okay for us to talk about this? Because we kind of just tiptoe around it because we're so uncomfortable with death, right? Talking about it. And so it's like, oh, let's avoid it so then it's not there. And that's not the truth. The truth is some people want to speak about their loved one. The greatest fear of someone losing someone through death is that that person will be forgotten. That is one of the absolute greatest fears, is that person will be forgotten. People will forget that this person lived, that they were significant in our lives. And so you can ask permission and say, hey, is it okay if we talk about this? Or I'm here, like I'm just here to listen. And it's okay for you to feel everything you're feeling. I'm just here to listen, to just sit here with you. And if all you do is sit there and grieve with them, you are just honoring that with them. And one point I would give to those who have loved ones who are experiencing loss or grief is please don't ever say, I understand. Now, I know that if I've lost a child and someone else has lost a child, there's some sort of connection and there is some sort of understanding. But when I say to you, I understand, I've taken away your grief in a way of like, oh, I get it, so I'm there. And so rather than saying I understand, is you can say, I feel you.
Mhm.
Wow, that must be so painful. Or you can even say, I can't even imagine what you must be feeling right now, but I'm here for you. So um let's that's just something I hear very often is like, oh, I get it, I understand. And it's just like, oh, let's be real careful about honoring that grief in someone, because their journey is so unique to them and their pain is so unique to them. And yes, it can sit there for years and years and years. That's where I say the difference between the pain and the suffering. Like, pain is inevitable. We're all going to have it. It's part of the human experience. Yet somehow we as humans think we're supposed to avoid it, right? It's like we want to avoid pain at all costs, right? Because it's painful, right? But the suffering of it is the keeping it in. It's the not reaching out for help. It's the getting so stuck in that place. One of the saddest things I would see when I worked with families in the grieving process is I saw a mother who her son was killed. And I mean, it was horrific. He was doing a good deed. He was changing someone's tire on the side of the road. He had stopped and was killed by a drunk driver driving by. And she had 3 other children, but it literally paralyzed her to the point that she no longer was being present or living because of this pain and this loss. And so 4 children lost their mother that day, not just the one, who passed. So please do not isolate. Please reach out. Please get help. Find a support group. If you're part of a church or religion, go and ask for help from your clergy. But the more we isolate and keep it in, the longer that pain can sit there and fester and fester and fester like that wound that we've got to sit down and actually doctor and take care of and clean it out and let it heal. But it can become absolutely debilitating. So I would encourage you to find some sort of resource for yourself. Don't do this alone. Do not do this alone. Find someone who's either walked through it or has someone who can, help you through the journey to heal.
Yeah. I think it's just as hard for children. What's a better cope with grief and loss for children? Because that's one of the triggers, as an adult when we lose somebody and we're grieving over it. I've seen my parents go, "It's okay. Do you think so and so, your grandma will like it if you cry? She's not going to like that. So you need to stop crying." Even adults are uncomfortable with the child grieving. So what's the way
Yes.
to help our children?
Oh, that is such a great question. Here's the thing is, our children actually grieve better than we do as adults. Okay. And they process so much quicker than we do. I have worked with hundreds of children who they work through their stuff so much quicker than adults do. And so, number one, if a child, say for instance, a child loses a pet, the pet dies, right? Please don't go out and try to hurry and replace it. What are you teaching the child in that moment? That as soon as a loss happens, we're going to replace it with something else to get rid of that pain, right? So then if we grow up as an adult, what are we doing? As soon as a loss happens, let's go find something, a substitute to fill that void, right? And oftentimes that can lead to addiction, right? So letting the child talk about their feelings, letting them cry when they need to cry. And I would honestly strongly advise not to make up stories of they're in this special place. And, because that child's going to think that maybe one day they're coming back from that special place, right? So being real and tender in how you say it or speak it is going to help your child. Sticking to the facts. Grandma had an illness in her body and her body couldn't live here anymore because of the illness, and she's passed away. And now, and whatever your belief is of the passing on is can be there, but not that grandma was taken away up into the sky for it's got to be, just stick to the facts of what happened so that they can digest it and know that loss is a part of life, and we don't have to protect them from it constantly to where they can't process. The most beautiful thing we can do is to help our children learn to self-soothe and process their emotions. Don't try to take it from them and protect it. You are actually dishonoring them as a person when you don't allow them their own grieving. So let them cry. And, in moments um, when I was grieving, I would sit and talk to my children and I'd say, this really hurts and I really miss this. And I would cry and then I would say, what do you really miss? What hurts in you? And so we would take turns in sharing those emotions because we were all feeling the grief and the loss. So doing it together as a family creates a community. Sorry about that. My phone just went off. Siri's talking in the background for no reason. So make sure to allow them. Goodness gracious.
There must be a lot of energy happening, a lot of feeling, and
there is.
Feeling it. You're right. Our children need to feel. And here's what's interesting. I love the fact that you said this because I remember when my oldest daughter, she was 4 years old, 4.5, and my grandfather passed away, and I did take her to the funeral, and she did go to the open casket, and she did all of that. She didn't understand it, I don't think, but she knew what was going on, and I explained it all to her during that time, and it's so important to do that. And then on top of that, this time, because both of my girls were older, and when my grandmother passed last year, they actually went to the cremation. Cremation is so difficult. I've never even seen a cremation. And when I saw that, that was the point where it was the hardest, because now the body's no longer there. Before it was like, okay, the funeral, the body's there, it's in a casket, but the cremation was the toughest for my mom, me, my daughters. I mean, it was an experience, and an experience that that really, really made death become a reality, and so it's amazing how we think, oh yeah, we're gonna die as well, and it's okay, everybody dies. But when you see a cremation, that's when it really, really hones in and spews out a whole bunch of not only emotions, but layers and layers of emotions that come up. So, but it is a beautiful process, right? Loss is a process, and no matter how the loss occurs, if we can change our perception as to how we see it, and it's an end of, it's a beginning of something new, but it's also like an end of a contract. Sometimes I see it as, especially with people, and but I still see it as a new beginning and a new growth. And I think it can come to life for you, that grief and loss, and we all need to accept it and cherish it and let it go, right? I think accepting it is going to be really, really important. You do have a process for us today. Would you like to share that with us now?
Sure.
Process, something short that everybody could take home and maybe use later on the replay, just to kind of help, because I can totally feel the energies right now. They're very strong and it's just very heavy. So maybe we could help.
Absolutely. So in the work I do, I combine it usually with the use of essential oils, because I always talk about frequency and vibration, and very pure essential oils have a very high frequency and a vibration. And as you're wanting to process things, it's good to either put those in a diffuser so you can smell them, because it works with the amygdala and kind of calming down the receptors, or on your body. And so real quick, I'm just going to tell you some good essential oils as you're going through grief are some citrus oils. So wild orange or grapefruit um, are really good in kind of releasing the stress and the heaviness of the grieving that you're feeling and going through. And then peppermint is the oil of a buoyant heart. And peppermint helps us kind of address the emotions that we're actually wanting to push down, but it kind of peps you up and it helps in releasing some of those things. So I look at the essential oils as high frequency, high vibration energy that's helping us to release low vibration emotions. Okay. So, one thing I would have you do is if everybody actually wants to do this with me, just really quickly, just go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath in to just kind of cleanse your energy. Just so you're going to breathe in for 5 seconds and then hold it for 5 seconds and release for 5 seconds. And then just kind of relax the body and feel that breath going in every cell and then expanding and then coming out your lungs to relax you. And let's do that one more time. Take a deep breath in and hold it for 5 seconds and then release it for 5 seconds. And I want you to, for a moment, think of your grief that's just kind of maybe prominent and present in your life, of any loss in your life right now, and really get in tune to your body and see where you're feeling that in your body. What part of your body are you feeling that in? So I'm going to use the example of my heart. Maybe it's in my heart. And go into that part of your body where you're feeling it and ask the grief what it wants to teach you. And I wouldn't even analyze it, go back and forth on it. It's usually the first thought that comes to mind, what it wants to teach you. And just sit in that for a second. Actually feel it in your body. Feel how tight it is in your body, what it wants to release, what it wants to let go of. And imagine that part of your body could breathe itself like your lungs do. Like maybe your heart can breathe, and so it can breathe in and hold, and then it can release and expand and relieve all the pain that's in that part of your body that's wanting to let go of. Again, keeping in mind what it is it wants to teach you. Maybe it wants to teach you that it's okay to grieve, or it's okay to feel sad, or it's okay to release and let go. And you don't have to hold on anymore. So I want you to once again just get in touch with the part of your body where you feel it and tell it that it's okay to release and let go. And again, imagine that all of it can expand and then release. And if you would have essential oils, this is when you would breathe those in, right? You know, you put it on your hands and breathe that in right then. Smelling it, helping the receptors calm down and letting it go. But many times we're just avoiding actually feeling it in our body. So just get present with it. See if it's something, if there's a message it wants to tell you. So I would get out a notebook and write down the message. Again, don't analyze, just come from your heart. Don't go into your mind at this time. Write down whatever comes to you, whatever it wants to honor. And then thank it for showing up. Thank it for teaching you the lesson. And you can do this time after time, and maybe each time it lets go of a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and you feel the constriction leaving your body and releasing. So after you thank it, take one more deep breath in and hold, and then put your hands over your heart, both hands, and feel the strong beating of your heart. Feel the strength of your heart, that it keeps going. You keep living. Even through this loss, you keep living. And I want you to think of a moment where you felt pure joy. Maybe it's with the person that passed. And if it is, then you get to honor the joy this person brought to your life. You get to honor the connection you two had, the gift that they were and still are in your life because they live on through you. So go back to that moment and feel it in every cell, experiencing that joy, that moment in your life where you felt freedom, where you felt peace, where you felt lighter. Maybe you felt exhilarated. Maybe it was bliss. And feel it in every single cell of your body, every single cell from the top to the bottom. Feeling that joy, breathing that in. So take a deep breath in and hold it and just feel yourself in that moment of joy, bringing it into the present moment as though you were there right now. And again, thank your body for the moment of joy, for experiencing it. Thank the person that might have been with you, that gave you that. And thank them for the gift that they've been in your life. The lessons they taught you, the joy they've brought you. And in your mind, just say, I honor you, I honor us, I honor the gifts and the connection I shared with you. One more deep breath in. And then hold it and release. And you can now open your eyes.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I felt pressure behind my eyes. Guys, if you liked that process, and let us know what you feel. And please let us know. That was a beautiful process. I felt it behind my eyes. And then by the end, it lifted, it released. And it was just so nice to have that release because I could feel some tears coming up as well, you know? And so please, guys, let us know what you're feeling at this time because that was a beautiful process that Christi shared with us. Christi, what else might people feel after this process?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to the place of honoring the pain, right? Feeling it in our body, because like you said before, you know, anything that we hold within us becomes a dis-ease in the body if we hold it in long enough. So if we just go there and actually ask it, hey, what are you here to teach me? What do you want? And we actually acknowledge it, we're halfway there. So acknowledging it is wonderful. But then taking ourselves to the place of letting go of the suffering of the pain is feeling the joy and looking at the gift, because as we go to a place of joy, our chemistry in our body actually changes, and it's like, oh, I can feel joy. I can feel that again, because that's actually a question many people have come up. Is like, am I ever gonna feel happy again? Am I ever gonna smile again? You know? And so it's when you recognize you have so much power within you to take yourself to that place in that moment. I mean, just feeling the beating of your heart, you know, you didn't have to do anything to earn that. Your heart is beating and honoring that you are still here, you're still alive, and then being in that moment of joy. And even if it's with that loved one, it's just honoring that. So we're going from a place to, I feel the pain. What's the pain here to teach me? Or what's this inside my body? And I can release as much as, it's willing to right now, just being kind and patient with yourself on that. And then going to joy kind of shifts it. So we're letting go of the heaviness of the suffering, honoring the pain, and then stepping into joy.
Yes, thank you. Marla says it was a beautiful experience. So thank you. I think everybody else, there's other people here, and we want you guys to share with us what you're feeling so that if there's something still stuck, then at least Christi could guide you further as to what you could do some more. So either that or they're lost on another dimension and they love the process, Christi. There's
Let's hope it's that.
it's funny. I'll have people that go through my process and they'll be like, people, I fell asleep and my phone was on for the next 3 hours. I had no idea. So I want to thank you, Christi, for being here. But guys, Christi has an amazing gift that she wants to share with you. So for all of our communities and for everyone out there listening, here's I'm gonna have Christi explain what it is.
Wonderful. So I am all about healing. Like it's just, Christi's my name, healing's my game. So I just, doing sessions with people all the time, there's different techniques I was using that I thought, oh my gosh, let's get these out into the world, right? No, don't wait to have to come to a person to find some of the healing you can do within yourself, because we have so much power within us to heal. So I wrote 2 books, and the first one is called Aroma Heal 1, and the second one's called Aroma Heal 2. I got real creative on the second name. So the first one has 4 techniques in it that you can use on yourself, and they're literally scripted. So they're so user friendly, and it tells you which essential oils go with them because of the emotional properties of them. And you can start doing your own inner healing just by using these techniques, and the awareness that comes about, and even in your grieving, there's some tools in there that you can use, and kind of healing the energy in the relationships that you've had with these people, or the losses you've experienced. There's several different tools in there. So there's 4 different tools in there in my book, Aroma Heal 1. And so I'd love to give everybody a digital copy of this book. And so what you can do is you can email me at Christi, Christi, at thehealingcoach.com. That's my website. And say, hey, I listened to the show on grief and holidays with Deepal, and I would love a digital copy of your book. And we'd be happy to email that to you, so that right now, as you're going through the holidays, you have some processes and tools that you can use right now, hands-on for yourself. You don't have to wait for anybody else, and start using them yourself. And it gives you some education on some of the essential oils that might help you through this. So I'd love to gift that to you so that you can start right now, because the most powerful thing you can do for yourself is heal. It truly is, because in your healing, you change generations, you change your life, you change your purpose, you change generations. So whatever I can do to help that process, I'm happy to do it. So I'd love to give you that gift.
That's awesome. You know what? When we are done here, will you post it under the post?
Absolutely.
At Deepal Shah, and that way people could just click there and email you directly. That would be
perfect.
So guys, just hold on tight. So that's a very, very generous gift that that Christi's willing to give us. And Veronique, I guess our listeners woke up. Veronique says, it was very deep. I am all in tears. And Brenda says, tears, and also glad you mentioned grapefruit and peppermint oils, because I did not know they helped with grief. But I started rubbing them on my stomach last 3 days, and I feel like it's helping the swelling and the pain. So how awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is beautiful. So thank you, Christi, for joining me here today. I do want to let you guys know there is a on my website at anandaforlife.com, we do have the membership. Membership starts. The next call is on fibromyalgia. So for those of you who are looking for some support, the membership, the quantum membership, is $35 for the first month. So take advantage of it, because each call individually is actually $49. So you're getting a better deal by doing the quantum membership, where you get 2 free group calls. You also receive 50% off of all the MP3s, and you also receive very special pricing on sessions. So, guys, take advantage of that. Fibromyalgia is coming up on Wednesday, so do sign up before that. All right. Now, if you guys have any questions, you know where to catch me at Deepal Shah at anandaforlife.com. And let me know how you're doing, what's going on, what questions you may have towards anything that is on my website or anything that's coming up, any of the events. Okay. I'll be more than happy to help you. And Christi, anything else you want to add to today?
I think we're good. Well, actually, one thing I'd like to add is just remember giving yourself permission to laugh even when you're grieving is okay too. So allow yourself all the emotions that you're feeling, and it's okay to have joy even in the moments of grief. So if there are moments of that, celebrate that you get them.
I love it. So, everyone, I love you guys. Put a smile on your face. We are alive and we're here, and you're living your life. So, just put a beautiful smile on your face. And I will see you guys next week with our next special guest. So, thank you and love to all of you.